Hi, how do you go from this bass to this bass? First, the key of the song, Pro Q3, because we can take notes. Key is B, 30 Hz. It's just sub bass. Perfect candidate for a high pass filter. But we're not going to do it because we don't know yet. Second band. It carries the root very well defined, but it is in the same area where you usually find the kick, which makes it a problem. So the third, we notice a strong resonance, which pretty much says this is the band. So we found the band. So what do we do here? We go one more. Here we start noticing mids. So here is where we are going to split, because that way we are not splitting just in the main frequency area, which is 133 and 73. So let's bring multi-mode rack. Well-defined bass, just low end, no mid. So mid band, how do we find the end of the mid band? Easy, we find the beginning of the high band. So we go back to the analyzer and we do the same. Create a few more bands just to be able to listen. We still hear mids. That's the one which is above 1K, which is where usually the highs of the electric bass start to appear. Let's choose this one for multi-mode. And now we have just pure mids. So what do we know now? Let's start with the low end. Compression, we need stable. We compensate volume. I think it's better to do it with gain, just because the limited amount of plugins and limited options in the plugins that Wave offer for this multi-mode track plugin. Notice that to find the perfect threshold in this compressor, you just have to look at the LED, make sure it blinks with every note. Now the mid band distortion. Now we have the tone control, but we're not touching that for now because we want to hear that in context. And let's do the same with the output level. High bands. We want the highs to be defined. We need them to be clean but stable. So compression again, or just limiter, why not? So now let's see what happened when we listen to all that in context. The thing is, whatever process you decide to use in each band, you want the level of that processor to be at unity gain, because that way you keep the tonal balance of the bass when you engage the plugin, so you can listen better. In this case, we're just stabilizing the dynamics and the highs and the lows, and then adding a lot of distortion in the mids. You can hear that when I engage the plugin, it just adds the distortion and keeps everything else at the same volume. You can work on that and change it however you want, and use the gain knobs as a volume control if you want. But with this method, you have a starting point. Now another thing that's important is the frequencies, and how to find the frequencies. It's not really this exact. It helps me find the areas according to the key of the bass of the song, but you have to keep in mind that the song might change, the key of the song might change for some sections, or the bass might move one octave up or down, or in this case up, or go somewhere else. And in that case, you have to just really go and use your ears. There's no way around it. You can do more math if you want, but it will only just a starting point. Then you have even more things you can do. For example, in this case, since we noticed that the main frequency of the bass was around 123, which is B, then we go we can go here and we can see in the low band of the multi-mode rack, we can enhance the harmonics and choose a specific frequency. In this case, 123, and let's check what happens. That's all the bass you will ever need. And then the tone control of the tube screamer. That's important because since it's the mid band, it's in charge of the position, it's in charge of the tone, which is in charge of the horizontal position of the instrument in the mix. When you move the tone, you can clearly notice how the bass moves the weight. I'm not talking literally the bass, but you can notice how the weight of the bass moves up and down. If it goes too low, you will notice that it goes muddy, it gets more weight, and when it goes up in the spectrum, you will notice that it gets more focused and more distinguishable. So you have to figure out what's the best point. That's up to you, that's up to your mix or whatever, and the rest of the instruments, how you have carved them.